So you can become a member, and especially if you are working in a lab section, it is one place you can get the most current methods, and you cannot go wrong with AOC. So with that, I want to call my panel quickly so that we see how they are doing their work and how current they are. Please welcome my. So very quickly, do we know him? Do we know her? Yes, no. Do we know him? No, yes. No, so you didn't introduce yourself well. Do we know him? They all work in somehow lab related or very close to the lab. Or we say you are inside the lab. Done. Very good. Good. So I want to give you a minute, just introduce yourself, tell us what you do and your role in relation to lab analysis, food analysis.
Good afternoon. My name is Triza Waidaka with Nestle Kenya. I am the new Regulatory and Scientific Affairs Manager, coming after Ojiambo. You met Ojiambo in the morning. Yes, and I am actually very much involved in lab analysis of and just all forms of analysis of foods, because we are in food production, considering that I've now been in regulatory affairs. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. You can pass it if you think you need to pass it.
Okay, afternoon.
Yes.
I think I had said earlier, my name is Dan Okwaro, the General Manager, Analabs Limited. So we are a testing lab, as I mentioned earlier, we are in food and pharmaceutical and environment. So personally, I don't test, but of course, I make decisions that affect the testing.
Okay. You said you are the CEO. General Manager. Different with CEO. Okay. Okay, fine.
Good afternoon. I'm Herbert Mwangi from Polygon Services Kenya Limited. We are a testing lab which is ISO 17025 accredited. We do testing food products, water, environment. We also do fumigation and also do inspections. I'm based in Nairobi, but our main office is in Mombasa. In Nairobi, I'm the one in charge of taking off when it comes to handling of samples and analysis. Thank you.
Oh, very good. So you're the one in charge. He has said he's the one in charge. Okay. So in food analysis, which are the major tests that you do?
We do.
And which methods do you use often?
Okay. We have various sections. For food, we do microbiological. We do chemical, that is for organic, inorganic contaminants. We do. Then we also do the MRS. The methods we use are we do ISO methods, AOC, and chemical standards. These are them. I guess 97% of what we do.
ISO,
AOC, and the KS, chemical standards.
So Kenya also has its own analytical methods. We will hear from him. Pass it on to him. Do we have analytical methods in food that you have developed?
Yes, and for those who have interacted with our standards, you'll find that where we have a requirement, there is also a copy that is directing you to which test method has been used to derive those requirements. So indeed, the Kenya standards also have a reference to the test method used.
Analabs, what do you exactly do with food? Because you've also said pharmaceuticals and You basically analyze everything.
Yeah, almost, but not everything.
Okay.
Because, but basically what you do in food is basically we do microbiological analysis. That is for different microbial contaminants. Then we also do nutrition analysis. Then we do the elemental or heavy metal analysis as well. Yeah.
So how do you choose which method to apply to a specific item to be analyzed?
So for us as an organization, we basically focus on ISO methods, also for microbiology. Chemistry, our major focus is on AAC methods. Also, when doing the test, also you look at the method will give you details in terms of the reagents you're going to use, the equipment you're going to use. Then you look at, do you have the capability to implement that method, or do you have the resources? And if you do have the resources or the capability, how will it propose to the consumer? So you don't go for a test method that you maybe by the time you're doing your costing, your cost per test becomes huge that the consumer cannot afford. Yes.
So the ease of using the method, the cost, is there something else you consider when you're choosing a method of analysis for food?
One other thing, the competence of who you have in the lab as well, because
The competence of the analyst.
yes.
So if you have incompetent analyst, you don't do the analysis.
No, yeah, because there are certain techniques that probably the equipment which you have, and I can attest to this. We have sometimes donations and equipment are lying in very many facilities within the country, and they are idle. Yeah, because the requisite techniques to operate them is lacking.
Yeah, I believe regulations also matter. When we look at foods, we have specific classifications of foods that have more stringent regulations as compared to others. When we are looking at foods related to the infant population, for example, and we are looking at infant formula, for example, the regulations will be more stringent. And therefore, the specifications and the methods of analysis again will then be dependent on the same. So we may go more towards the WHO codex and the codex, the code and the codex more, and also even if we decide to go for in-house methods, the validations must also go together with the specifications that are required.
Yes. Okay. Among your nurse, you have said yes, you have developed your own methods of analysis.
We have some that are in-house developed, but of course you will have reference to either component of an AOSC method and maybe a bit of ISO, because it's also, so long as the principle behind the work of a method, which is underpinned scientifically, you can reach a stage where you can borrow from different publications, but then do a validation that what you have developed in-house is capable of giving you valid results.
How easy is it to have reference materials?
Good question. That's a very big challenge to labs, because I think reference material producers, the closest that I know is NMISA, the National Meteorology Institute of South Africa. Yeah, because one other thing that is not clear to many lab operators is what you are calling a reference material, because you also have quacks who hide behind the big names and give you materials that you cannot trace to what you call the database of the International Bureau of Weights and Measures. So if you look at the current ISO 17025 of 2017, you'll find that they are already bringing in the concept of looking at the BIPM database, so that laboratories get to use reference materials that are actually valid. So they are not cheap to acquire, because getting to that level of producing a CRM is also requires a lot of investment.
You share the same method?
In terms of reference material or working standards, for sure it's a big issue. Even when you want to import, again, because locally most people don't stock it, because you'll find that it's something we consume. Often you will buy a standard, maybe use it for a year or 2 years. So when you make the order is when the local vendor will order from the manufacturer. It takes a whole time. Then KEBS also came up with their own rules about importation. It's even worse.
He's your friend. Now, our aim is to align methods so that you are for the same element. You can use a method that is acceptable to all analysis. That's our goal. I don't know, in your own opinion, maybe if you just take 1 minute, how you can do that from your experience, where it is going to be possible in the near future. We just need to get your opinion, how best that can be done, and whether it will be helpful to the analysts per se. So we can start from.
Okay, what I can say is not as easy as you may think. First is because of the investment each laboratory has done, the equipment that they have. But maybe for microbiology one, because most laboratories rely on ISO methods. That
is going to be easier.
Yeah, but when it comes to
chemical analysis,
that's a,
you are giving a push.
Yeah.
So we need to know where to trade.
Yeah.
Good. But do you agree to it may be an important idea, or also give us your idea of that?
I think when you talk about method harmonization, it is a good thing. It will be a good idea, but of course, as you said, achieving it might be tough, because the beauty about that will be we can speak from the same same script, produce same results that are acceptable across, because the danger about it is what I know is modification. Yes, because most labs do method modification. Depending on the equipment, competency, availability of the reagents, of course, cost reduction being at the center of the mindset, and also some of the things also matrix effect.
Yeah, matrices differ.
Yes, so the matrix effect also is a big role. So those are the things that really have to be looked into when this idea is being tried to be nurtured.
Okay.
Yes, one thing, it would really be beautiful and lovely if it was uniform, because if I can draw a comparison, you see, when a preacher here picks a Bible and one picks another one in South Africa, they are basically reading the same verse. And it becomes very easy to talk to your congregation. So if the same would happen with the methods of analysis, one thing is, I think even disputes, as far as the results are concerned, would go low, because we would be talking from the same platform. So it would be a nice thing, and I think a lot of effort is being done to move towards that. Yeah, but of course the investments that the labs have made in the current methods will make a few of them move with a lot of caution, because those who have undergone accreditation, there's a lot of cost that is tied to that, because you will have to run revalidations to prove that what you are now adopting is giving you what, like, yeah. So it is going to be expensive, but where there is a will, or where there is a way, there's a way.
Yes. I will concur with what they've all said, that it is true, it is a challenge, but truly speaking, it is actually the way we should go. Because if you give your product out for analysis for regulatory purposes or for labeling, you can sleep easy and know that whatever I got in my lab is what somebody else will get in their lab, especially when you're looking at trace elements, we are looking about issues of adulteration and such things. So if we can go towards harmonization with a little tweaking here and there, yes, and plus giving room for validations, I believe this is the way we should all be speaking in one language.
That's good. I once visited South African lab where they are developing reference material. I realized they are only to develop one. So as you say, it is an expensive affair, so we continue to import. But I think they are on the right track because they want to ensure that, as he says, the matrices are different. It is very critical that you develop reference material for your matrix. Because, for example, cassava is not in the US, I believe. Eric, do you know cassava?
Yeah, I know cassava.
You have eaten cassava?
I have, but only in Africa.
Only, yeah. So it is very hard for them to develop a reference material which is cassava-based, but looking at cyanide for context, for example. But you see now, if they can't develop and they are the suppliers, there is need for us to do something. So for us, we are interested on how do we put all things together and see how to move. Will you be interested to be part of this talk of method alignment? Yes, without a no. Members, you have seen they have said yes. So you are my witnesses. Okay. Do you have any question or? There is one here. Or there is two.
Okay, thank you for whatever you have shared with us. My question is rather general. Most of the research is being done in universities, and most of the universities do not have the sophisticated equipment to do most of the analytical work. So how simple, how difficult is it for you to extend the labs offering towards universities so that if, for instance, I'm dealing with an infant food, I can go to Nestle and ensure that it is of standard of good quality? Thank you.
That's a very good question to me. Give him.
Yeah, thank you. My question goes to you.
How about?
Yeah, the name of the lab is Olcon.
Yes.
Yes, I'm happy to understand that you are accredited 17025. And I'm interested.
I think all of them are accredited.
Okay.
Yeah. Even Nestle had so many of them accredited yesterday, today in the morning. Analabs have been accredited.
Yeah.
KEBS is the accreditator. Is there an English like that? Actually, it is KENAS that accredits.
Yeah, but they came from us, so some people was taken.
Oh, KENAS came from you.
Yes.
And KENAS now is internationally recognized. Before KENAS, you used to either go to South Africa or Europe.
Yes.
Or America.
Yes.
There was none in Africa, apart from the South Africa, if I'm not wrong. But right now, we have our own KENAS. It is international. So can you ask the question?
Yes, my question is, for instance, if you want to analyze the chemicals, which instrument do you use?
Which chemical?
Like pesticides. Which instrument do you use?
I'm not sure if he does the chemical pesticides, but let's see. He can answer for himself. He's grown up. Is there another one?
So I have a burning question, in fact, smoking. Now, yeah, smoking. This goes to polycorn and analytes. There's been a lot of back and forth about cancer and marijuana. Would you analyze that for me? Because I'm curious.
You want to analyze cancer or marijuana?
No, marijuana, and what is that? It contains that would kill cancer cells.
Okay.
Yeah.
can take that.
But no, I don't use marijuana.
But you can use it for medicine. Let's take this one.
Mine is also to Polycom and Anna Labs, and also KEBS, I think the private labs and also the government labs. When it comes to like testing for things like, you know, for small scale food producers, things like pesticides, heavy metals in coffee or whatever, I'm sure it is very expensive. So how is it possible to help these small-scale farmers so that our small-scale producers, yes, and processors, so that we can have safe food that is tested, but also, you know, at a cheaply, you know, or affordably.
I think what she means is these things are expensive, but as we had in the morning, most of what we eat come from the small scale, who are not actually able to do the testing. That's the question.
Yes.
So what role can you play? Remember, they also want to make money at the end of the day. So. A last one. So there is nobody who had a question here. Good. Who wants to go first? Marijuana?
Okay, so I think there has been some confusion that marijuana is used for management of, actually for healing cancer or preventing cancer. But generally, cannabis contains cannabinoids, yeah, which have some pain relieving effect without the side effects associated with opioids for management of pain. So that's the reason why this is now currently being legalized in some markets for management of cancer, because we know for cancer, the only pain management we have is morphine. Morphine is associated with a lot of other side effects that come with it, drowsiness. Actually, the patient is practically incapacitated for as long as they are using this particular opioid. But now this pain medication that we are getting from medical marijuana will relieve pain, have a little bit of feel-good factor, less of addiction as compared to morphine, but most importantly, less side effects. Not no side effects, but less side effects. Yes, but then we still have to consider the issues of abuse.
Very good. I can see he's very happy. So you can take it for pain relief.
No, of course, clear pain management, but it is on prescription.
Okay.
Not in chemicals.
So PEPS has no role for FSMEs. You can say as part of Okay.
Yes. Otherwise,
You will answer. Good.
Okay, I will tackle number one, the one on research, or like support of research. Actually, personally, I think that is one of my current strategic goal. I was actually planning to set out this year to visit universities, to sensitize them to be sending students for research in our places, because we have been supporting students, but unfortunately most of our students have been getting from Europe, outside, yes, who come and do research. So they come, we give them the lab space.
There is a reason why the Europeans come and don't look at us.
So that's what I was looking at, because we find that if foreigners could come and use our lab for research, how come they don't understand? Of course, I know it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Of course, it's money, and of course, research is not cheap. We all know that, because we're going to use bench space for a long time, using reagents, and maybe even the resources that you have there. So, but it's something that we are trying to look into, how we can support students who are doing research locally. Yes. Yes. Cost analysis with that.
You see, that is coming from the managing. So we can pretend the managers want. Good.
But it's no, of course, cost. There's cost. So it will not be free. Yes, because we are in business.
Okay.
Yes. Then the other one was on pesticide testing and heavy metal for the
MSMEs.
For sure, those tests are expensive, and I think even like currently in the country, the major person who is testing pesticide is KEFIS, and actually the price that they are charging, I think, is gazetted by the government. So around 21,000 or 22,000, something around there per sample. Yes, so it is not cheap, and basically why it's not cheap, because the equipment and most of the standards used in testing pesticide are quite expensive. And whether you are testing one pesticide or 20 of them, the cost remains the same. So make it become so difficult. So for me, my approach would be, as we are looking at trying to improve food safety at that level, I think, because those guys, I'm sure they cannot afford to pay 21,000 to test for pesticide residues maybe on tomato. So how do we maybe focus on ensuring that whatever chemicals that are being used in the farm are safe, and maybe the ones that are regulated? Because I know there's a body that governs the pesticides that are being used in the farms and all those things. So maybe we'll focus more on making sure we use the right concentration and the right approved chemicals. That will help, because testing at the end of the day will be very hard for the small farmers. Yeah. That would be my thought.
Okay. I have like 3 questions. For research, yes, Polycon gives room for research. Several Kenyan students come at our Mombasa lab, they do there. And I share the same sentiments as Dan has said. We get a lot of foreigners doing research in our labs, but not Kenyans. Yeah.
You have heard with your own ears. I don't need to stress, yes.
Yes. Okay, for MRS, yes, Polycon we are accredited for the same. Yes, we have liquid chromatography. Yes, we have invested very heavily. We have HPLC. We have gas chromatography machines. We have a bunch of them. I guess the best is you are welcome for a visit. You get to see them. They are there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then there is a case with the residue prices. The price is up because of the investment based on the equipment, the reagents, and still you have to run. If you are testing even it is one, whether it is like for FoSTeP or what you are testing, you have to run the whole process. So it becomes very difficult to segregate the pricing.
Okay.
Yeah, on the issue of supporting students, KEPS has signed MOUs with some universities locally. We have an MOU with KU, and we've had some students come and use our facility, and KEPS staff have also on the same platform now had an opportunity to go and do their studies at KU. We also have one active with University of Eldoret, and because as a government agency we've seen it like when we train locally, we are actually building a workforce to come and also support us. It becomes easier and faster to get people who are going through your system and know how it works. So there are MOUs that are working where research is concerned, but to a large scale what we offer are student attachments. And so that one we have twice per quarter, so we have three, and here we have quite a number of students coming in. Of course, because of the numbers at times, the exposure to the equipment is not that high level, but at least you will go back knowing what a mass spec looks like, and probably one or two things of what to do with it, and it helps. It helps quite a lot in doing that. I've interacted with a lot of equipment manufacturers locally and internationally as well, and what I've encouraged most of them, but they have not picked, is to see how some of these equipment end up at the universities for purposes of training. Because personally, I've been so biased to Shimazu because that's what I trained with at JQuat, because Japanese then were supporting the university to a big extent. So what I've preached is take your instruments in these places, because you never know when these people become general managers like him, they'll probably have a bias to some of those equipment. So I think the universities also need now to start nudging the suppliers. What can you give us for purposes of training? I've gone to labs abroad where you'll find state-of-the-art equipment donated for purposes of training, and it's working. So I think those are some of the avenues we need to exploit so that the current technology is trained at university level. Now on pesticide analysis, when we pick a sample for purposes of regulation, we will actually not charge because the taxpayers support KEBS. So if you have done your application for standardization mark and part of the analysis requested is pesticide or antibiotic residues, we'll do it as part of our mandate. The game only changes if now you bring it at a private level, that now this is for my personal consumption. Now at that level, now we will charge you the market rates, and as they have shared, it's not cheap to run those kind of tests, because an equipment, GCM, SMS, would be anything to do it 15 million plus before you bring in standards, before you bring in training of the analyst. So it's kind of a balance. If I may just take people back to the time when we were having a crisis with the illicit groups, and you find that our main issue was methanol, which was ending up in some of the drinks. And a number of those people closed down because it was legislated even through NACADA that you really need to have somebody who understands the chemistry and can operate a GC, and also acquire a GC. Yeah, because I think there's been a lot of free-for-all in the food industry where I can mix this and that and get it to the market without supporting it with the requisite technology and science behind the safety. So the tests become expensive if we have to do it at a personal level. I think, yeah, and for pesticide analysis, we run HPLC as he has mentioned. We also have the GCMSs for the same purposes.
Teresa, do you have some last word?
Just to mention for the students, yes. For Nestle, we also have attachments and internships. So for attachment, we would expect that you would work with whatever program is there for the day. But for internships, I know that there is a particular program that also allows you to work on your thesis or whatever it is you're working on, and so gives you a bit of time to do also private work. That, okay, depending again on the cost of the work that you're going to do. So that will again be determined, and you can be told how far you can go on your private work. But for attachment, the students will definitely move according to the program of the lab and the day.
You also have attachment? Yes, analogs?
Yeah, we do have attachments. We do attachments every 3 months, although we are in partnership with the Kenya Chamber of Manufacturers. I think there's a program, there's a challenge program they are running. Okay. So they gave us interns, from the universities, they come through camp, and then they attach on our facility. Every 3 months we have.
So they can't come directly?
We are all direct. Yes, because we have an MOU with the camp.
Students can't come direct?
We currently, because we have that MOU with the camp, so we try to. Yes, so directly at the moment.
But you need to have a percent.
But they're still, the ones we are training are still from the local universities.
I know.
Yes.
But I know what I'm saying. You need a percent.
Okay.
Yes, for Polycon, we usually offer attachment and internship. And to market Polycon a bit, for pesticide residues, we are cheaper than KFX.
How cheap are you? How cheap? Okay, a good percent. So you can discuss with Polycon. Yeah, since we exhausted the questions and we are running to the next part, we want to thank you very much for getting time to be here. There is a reason why you are in front there. So we have picked quite a lot of things, and those of us who are coming from the university and research institutions, you see where you should connect. Yes, and Polygon and other the machines that you are not using so much, you keep them for training. Okay, let's grab our